for common man. Common man, charge the housewives like no one can. What did you shoot? Where'd we play? Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in, it's time for Common Man.
Yes!
Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, hello?
It's Ham in front of Jones. Play action off that from under center. Sam, he's going to loft one up deep to Addison, who stopped, caught it, and now touchdown! A 49-yard touchdown for Jordan Addison, and the Vikings are trailing 7-6. Cousins from under center, play action, pumps to the right, doesn't like it. Now he throws an interception. It's picked off by Joshua Metellus, and the Vikings have turned over Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons for Kirk. His 14th interception, most in the NFL.
You like that? You like that when you fall and goes through this giant hall. All your dreams feel so small. You like that you lost it all.
Jefferson in motion to the right, back to the left. 3rd and 6 from the Falcons 12. Sam, back to pass, to the end zone. Touchdown! Justin Jefferson with his first touchdown in well over a month.
The quota. You like that when you fall and goes through this giant hall. All your dreams feel so small. You like that you lost it all.
3rd and 8. Minnesota 6 of 11 on 3rd down. Sam under a lot of pressure. How'd you get away from that? Now he throws deep. Justin wide open. Caught. Touchdown! Justin Jefferson with a 48-yard reception. But Sam Darnold was Houdini for the day.
You like that when you fall and goes through this giant hall. All your dreams feel so small. You like that you lost it all.
We're tied at 21. 2 receivers left and right. Sam back to pass. Throws right. Caught. And touchdown! Jordan Addison is on fire. That's a 12-yard touchdown reception. His second today. Minnesota leads 27-21. 3 receivers right. Sam Darnold out of the shotgun. Jones picks up a blitzer. Pass right. Caught. Addison to the end zone. Touchdown! Jordan Addison makes it 34-21. And for Sam Darnold, that's a high five. For the first time in his career, he's thrown 5 touchdown passes in a game. And for Jordan Addison, that's the first 3-touchdown game of his career. First down for Atlanta, trailing by 14 points, 6.5 minutes to go. First down from the Vikings 25. Cousins hit by Harrison Smith as he throws it, and he's intercepted. A beautiful one-handed interception in the end zone by Byron Murphy Jr. That's number 6 this year for Byron Murphy Jr., which means he has the most interceptions by a member of the Minnesota Vikings since Anthony Harris in 2019. A rare kickoff return opportunity for Ray McLeod, and he comes inside. He dropped the ball at the 30. He was smacked at the 30. Ball came out, was rolling around at about the 32. No signal. Come on, baby. No signal. Yes! Vikings ball. Yes! And off Aaron Jones. Up the middle. To the 10. To the 5. Touchdown! A.J. Showtime. 15-yard touchdown run, and the blowout is on. It's Minnesota 41, Atlanta 21. The Minnesota Vikings have hit the pick six. 6 consecutive victories, leading to an 11-2 record. The final score, Minnesota 42, Atlanta 21.
You like that? You like that?
Oh, you think I don't?
You like that? You like that?
I like the montage.
You like that when you fall, echoes through this giant hall. All your dreams feel so small. You like that you lost it all. You like that? You like that?
Metallica, Vomiting Rats, along with Five Finger Death Punch, Trans-Siberian Orchestra with special guest, Artificial Intelligence. Great name for a band. That's Artificial Intelligence with You Like
Brilliant.
That. You Like That. It's just the options are as large as the galaxy around us, right? It's so good.
I mean, they all kind of have that same sound to it.
Yeah, which is a good sound. It's a pump it up around here kind of a sound. All we do is win, well, most of the time. And, yeah, that's a good, and again, we're getting the reactions. Brad John Bright, KFAN, text line 64686 at breakneck speeds. After that montage, I actually ran through the front wall of my home and kept going through walls. I'm now inside my neighbor's house across the street, and he's calling his lawyer and suing me for damages. Thanks, Tenna. Judd in Chicago. B-Boy, great montage as usual by Blandon. How do you spell Sam Darnold? MVP. Sam.
Brilliant.
JJ. Addison.
Let's go.
The only question I have for you, B-Boy, where will you be sitting during the parade? Well, I haven't been to Detroit in a long time, so I'm not exactly sure what corner that will go by. You know what? The Kitties are dead. The Packers are dead. Who else is in our conference? Eagles are dead. Who else has a chance? Maybe Tampa. Seattle is dead. Buccaneers are dead. They're all dead, except Kansas City's not. Did you see that again? I don't know how they do it. And then they got a doink off the upright,
yes.
too. I mean, Tenneby, if they put one more coat of paint on that upright, that ball doesn't go in. It doesn't. Here's best montage ever.
Wow.
Ever.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
And that's all capitalized. Here's one. Are you kidding me, Tenna? Hard hat is on, brother. No brick walls here. I'm running through steel beams after that montage. On my knees in reverence of the montage god. Way to go. I'm at work and out of nowhere, some guy just bulldozes through the wall after hearing the reason why I chose the other wall. How does that montage not have you sprinting through a wall? Simply brilliant, young man. Let's play. Great job, Tenna. Jordan from Waconia.
When you can't even hear the words in the verses because we're playing highlights, but even the verses that AI came up with for that moment were good.
What is this montage song? My God, my ears are bleeding. This is awful. Welcome back to the bench, Tenna. Now, wait a minute now. By the way, did Bursich say, I've seen enough of Kirk Cousins, put him on ice? Did he say it during the game? Because he promised us he was going to do it. And I was supposed to text him and remind him.
I've seen enough out of Cousins, Paul. Put him on ice.
Remember, he was going to do that during this game? Because we had him on Friday as a guest to talk about, or maybe it was Thursday. Well, it was late last week we had Versich on to talk about the game. Because we just were reminded of it because Cousins was coming to town and the first time. I think the whole bit was, is he the last? We talked about, would it be a revenge game if the Vikings won for 98? And then we thought, how many people associated with the in 98 that played for the team or in any way, shape, or form was associated with the franchise is still with it now. And the only name we could come up with was Bursich because he played for the Falcons and now he's a member of the Vikings radio network as analyst guy. And then we asked him if he would do I've seen enough, put Cousins on ice. And he said he'd do it. I told him that I would text him and remind him, but I didn't watch the game live. I was golfing. What? No! Hit the word we play. What we
What did you shoot today?
I shot a 94.
Where'd we play?
Montgomery National in Montgomery.
Where'd you hit it on one?
Right up the gut.
How far from the green were you?
Had a wedge in my hand.
Second shot?
I hit the wedge like 189 yards. Well, because what I didn't know until we started playing, the greens were like the tarmac at Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport. So from that point on, every shot you hit toward the green, you have to just guess, how close do I hit it to the green so that it jumps up and goes on? Sometimes, because the cups that were in the ground, the snow and the ice had melted, so the flag stick couldn't stick up anymore, so it was just laying next to the hole. So you're kind of guessing on distances. And so let's say
were you the only one on the course?
Oh, no, it was jam-packed.
Really?
It was jam-packed. They were backed up. They were going off 1 and 10. It was insane. It was relatively pleasant out. You know, I mean, it was 40, 41, 42 degrees, light breeze. But the greens were, like I say, like asphalt. And so you can't hold the greens, which it's kind of fun for a while. You kind of get a challenge, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I just made too many doubles. It's just, it's like, it usually took you 3 to get on, right? It just did on a par 4 because it's hard to hold the green on 2, and at least for me it was. But we enjoyed it. I mean, I broke 50 on the front with a bogey. I was over the green on 9, a par 5, and I had to. It was a back pin with a green that went back to front. So it's like, well, I got to hit it hard enough to get it on. But I know as soon as it hits, it's going to run to the front of the green because it's right. Sure enough, hits the green, runs to the front. But I did save bogey to break 50 on the front side. I shot 49. I went 49, 45. And felt pretty good about it, actually. It's like, and the reason normally I wouldn't go with the Vikings game, and I figured I wasn't sure if the greens would be rock hard. I should have known better. But baby brother Peter just got back from The Ohio State University, hadn't played since like early September, and he's hooked on the game, as you know. Yeah. So I knew some places were open. I talked to the guy, Greg McCush owns Montgomery National. His family owned Lone Pine, where the Meadows at Mystic Lake now is. And we used to play Betty's Sound. She would call me when the course, they were like the first to open every year, you know, Lone Pine and Oak Marsh. And she would leave me the message on the phone. Hey, Dan, it's Betty over at Lone Pine. We're open. Come on and play. And then we would play that. And then we'd do the most wonderful time of the year kind of a thing. So he bought that golf course, built a brand new big log cabin clubhouse. And it's the Beatles course. He's got a yellow submarine, a replica of it sitting in one of the ponds. All the holes are named after Beatles songs. Guess what number 9 is called?
Number 9? Number 9?
And I kept saying it all. And you know what? I made a 9 on number 9. No, that's when I actually made a 6. But anyways, but I did watch the highlights last night. I had DVR'd the game, and the Vikings were really good. I mean, when I walked into the clubhouse at the turn, and Atlanta kicked a field goal to make it 14-13. I was stunned. I was like, how is Atlanta? Because I literally thought we would blow them out, which I predicted on this radio station. Of course, we ended up blowing them out.
Yes.
So I guess I know my football. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the Vikings and a lot of other topics as well. Here on the Common Man program on the Fan.
Hey, Rubes, this football season, Bell Bank is giving one KFAN listener each week $1,000 to pay it forward to a charity of their choice. Just head over to KFAN.com, keyword contest, to learn more and enter today. That's KFAN.com, keyword contest.
Couple 13-14 past Common Man program. I'm Common. He is Tennessee. Text message came into our Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line 64686. By the way, we're broadcasting from the climate-controlled confines of the 651 Carpets Plus studio, 651carpetsplus.com. Several people, including Nolan in Jackson, Minnesota, says, Common, Bursich didn't say it about Cousins. He said it about Darnold. He said,
oh, really?
I've seen enough of Sam Darnold. Put him on ice.
Brilliant.
And there's no more apt words than that. And by the way, it's time now for Peek at the Purple. brought to you by our friends at Affordable Electric. Same day or 24-hour service. They will not start any work, none, until they give you a written estimate. Remember this. It's easy to find them. It's affordable-electric.com. Shockingly affordable. Speaking of the purple would be Sammy Darnold. He had a terrific performance yesterday. He was 22 of 28, 347 yards for 5 tutties and no interceptions. And I think you sent me a tweet from somebody that crunches numbers and such like that. If you could pull that up, something about it's rather historic in Viking lore when you look at that performance. We've had some mighty fine quarterbacks over the years. I'd say we've had better luck at wide receiver than we've had at quarterback. I mean, Tarkenton was the best quarterback the team has ever had. I don't think anybody would argue with that. Then after Tarkenton, you've had some other, solid quarterbacks. Brad Johnson was okay. Culpepper was really good for a few years. Brett Favre for one season. Yeah. Cousins was, again, I know there's a lot of Cousins haters out there, but he was pretty good. And there's probably some others that I'm forgetting, but Darnold was simply brilliant yesterday, right?
Yeah, and 20-plus yard throws this year. He has 27 completions. That's first in the NFL. 969 yards passing, first in the NFL. 7 touchdowns, tied for first. So he ain't dunking his way to getting a high completion percentage.
No, he was. He had the one play that everyone's raving about that I saw when I watched the game.
I use its DVR.
Is it? Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's on my it's on my TV. I don't even know how my TV works. My boys do. They've got everything figured out. I got every station in the world. But so I played it back. And the defender fell down, but it's still for me the amazing part wasn't it just dry. It was like catching a fly ball in center field for Jet and just backpedaled into the end zone or turned around and went in. But it was the way Darnold escaped from the blitz. It looked like he was going to get. It looked like there were 2 or 3 different pass rushers that had an opportunity to get him, and he did a little. He moved around in the pocket like we've not seen here in the last 6 years, right? Speaking of Cousins, and they pulled up and he just threw it right to him, touchdown, and it was. And then he showed emotion.
Yeah.
He showed some emotion. He was waving the towel after they put him up on the big board, so it was pretty cool. And then, receiving wise, 2 spectacular. I mean, it's something like Addison, 133 yards on 8 catches and 3 tutties, 132 yards on 7 catches and 2 tutties for Jet. And it was a beatdown. Darnold was really, really good. I mean, he's playing as well as he had that little glitch there. We had the one game where he had the 3 interceptions trying to force it in. During the 2-game losing streak, he wasn't as good as he's been. But the last 2-3 games, in particular yesterday, he was very good.
Yeah, so the play you referenced to JJ, I'm assuming you're the same as me, right? Because you and I, when we're watching sporting events, we're also, as it's going on, thinking, what am I going to say about this tomorrow, right? Like, so I think you and I probably watch a little differently than your average fan. And up until that play, what was going through my mind watching the game was, well, tomorrow I'm going to talk about how, like, Sam Darnold's stats look good, but his pocket presence is awful today, right? Yeah. Like, giving up sacks, he's not getting the ball thrown away early enough, and I get it, his offensive line wasn't great, but he just did not have the recognition of where pressure was coming from, and he was taking bad sacks and having balls deflected when he wants to throw it. And then he goes and does that play, and I'm like, well, there goes that narrative I had in my head, because the way he escaped the pocket on that, throwing that ball on the run, that was absolutely terrific. And then from that point forward, he was as brilliant as it gets. Here's what else I dug up in regards to the game. It says Darnold's 27 touchdown. This might have been from The Athletic, I think, or maybe CBS Sports, one of the two. Darnold's 27 tutty passes through 13 games trail only the 31 Culpepper completed to this point in the 2004 season. His 8.5-yard average per pass attempt ranks third behind 1998 Cunningham, 9.6, and 88 Wade Wilson at 8.9 among the 21 Viking quarterbacks who combined for 63 qualifying seasons. Minimum 200 pass attempts through 13 games. So some pretty lofty numbers that he's putting up there, and which gets me to I have to find this text message, because it seems to me people seem to hear things
that you're not even saying, and maybe I was giving off the impression that I was. Where the heck is it now? Go ahead and give me the. Thank you, because I do want to read this one. It doesn't matter. I can paraphrase it. He basically said, here's how it is. Here's what it is. Common, I can't believe you're saying you knew Darnold would be as good as he's been this season. Give me a break. I never said that. I said I expected a rout yesterday. And that's because of what I've seen. Do you think in week one I would have said I think the Vikings are going to rout the Falcons? Well, no, because that's week one. We don't know how the season's going to transpire. We don't even know who's going to be quarterbacking by then. Darnold could have been injured week 2, out for the rest of the season. We might have Moon Mullins quarterbacking. I never predicted. I'm just saying, by the way the Vikings have been playing, with Cousins as statuesque as he is, though did he not get sacked once yesterday? Is that right? Was he unsacked? Which I find, I think I looked at the stats and I didn't see a stat.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I don't know if he was
sacked, which I found amazing. Actually, I just thought the Vikings would destroy the Falcons. They're a much better team than the Falcons. Falcons are a 500 team going into the game with a statue quarterback who threw 4 interceptions the week before, and our team is really starting to play better and better as the season goes along. I was the first to suggest, why can't Darnold benefit from bookend tackles, best wide receiver in pro football, and obviously what now is becoming maybe the best duo in wide receiver duo in football. A really good tight end, Aaron Jones, who everybody told me was really good, and a great play caller and quarterback whisperer. Why couldn't Sam Darnold benefit from that, like everyone was saying that a rookie quarterback could? That's all I said. Turned out to be as very prophetic, because that's exactly what's happened here. So, yeah, it was. I don't think there's anybody. I think I know KOCs, and they all do this. There was a quote from a KOC. I think something about none of us are surprised by this from Sam Darnold. I'm not suggesting that you didn't think you could, because you did say you could get more to Sam Darnold, but I don't think anybody, even with the organization, could say they saw them. And maybe KOC did. Well, we'll give him credit. But he's probably the only guy that said, I think I can see Sam Darnold right now being in the MVP conversation, one of the best quarterbacks in pro football. He really is. He's certainly top 10 in most of the statistical categories that are important. So they got the roll on it.
If Sam Darnold's name was Pat Mahomes, he'd be a front runner for being MVP right now. But because his name is Sam Darnold and he hasn't been good historically,
correct,
people aren't throwing him in the mix enough.
That's correct. And again, I think a lot of it's going to go along to I think the Lions, because of what they're doing and because of where that franchise has been, if they run the table here, I think somebody from Detroit will get the MVP. That's what would be my guess, whether it's deserving or not. But I think that's what they do. They look at the teams. Generally, the MVP comes from the team that is at least one of the top teams, and the best team in football, if not one of the top 2. We'll break, come back. That was Peek at the Purple, brought to you by Affordable Electric. Shockingly affordable. Back with more from this here on The Fan.
Stick around. Following every noon Vikings game this season for Vikings Overtime, hosted by Meat Sauce, presented by Park Chrysler Jeep in Burnsville. Catch them all right here on KFAN and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Couple 13-14 past Common Man program. I'm Common. He's Tenneby. Do we do a 5-3-4 at the top? No, how does it work? Does he start at 1:15 on Mondays?
Well, it's supposed to start at 1, but it usually goes to 1:15.
Okay, that's
so
right.
I've got partial 5 questions ready.
So we do some partial 5 questions at 1, unless the head coach starts right away. It's Kevin O'Connell. It's his weekly day after the game news conference you hear on this radio station. No Mark Rosen until tomorrow. He's back now from, I think he was on vacation somewhere in the Caribbean. He'll be back for on Tuesday, I believe, tomorrow, starting at 2 o'clock. We'll be in at 1 tomorrow. 12 noon will be the Ben Johnson show. What was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say. It was Vikings. The Vikings, it was 21-21 at one point, right? The Falcons went for a 2-point conversion and moved to 21. I was on the way back from Montgomery Golf Club with baby brother Peter and was listening to the best play-by-play duo in the world, Paul Allen and Pete Bursich, calling the game, and the Vikings just poured it on, and they just put the throttle down and never let up. And I saw a quote from O'Connell, and I'm paraphrasing something about, well, it just felt like this game, that's what we needed to do at that point. And it's almost as he took a page out of Dan Campbell's playbook. You put your foot on the gas and you don't let up. That's what you do, right? I like that. I don't really, at the pro level, I don't really consider it running up the score. I mean, it is if you're supposed to kneel down at the 3-yard line at the end of the game, you decide to score another tutty. That's unnecessary. But it's like if you get the ball back and you're up 4 scores, well, you hand the ball off. You can't expect your guys just to fall down, right? You're going to run the football. And so that's what the Vikings did. I like that approach to football. On the pro level, you keep scoring until you don't score anymore, right? Unless, like I say, well,
they weren't up enough to consider.
Well, that's it.
Taking the foot off anyway.
Well, that's exactly right. But I mean, once they got up, they punched in for a third. Once they were up 2 scores, it was over. There was how much time was left in the game at that point? There wasn't much time left. They were up 2 tutties. By the way, Cousins was sacked once, I'm being told, which I love when we get these. He was sacked. Come on, you two. It never ends. We just don't pay that close attention. There's no need to. He got sacked 0, 1, none. I don't know. I expected him to get sacked about a half a dozen times. Matter of fact, I'm disappointed the Vikings didn't put more pressure on him. I would have expected this to be a sack-happy game. I was expecting 4, 5, 6. I hold the teams to high standards. Sorry.
Also, you were off by 1 sack.
Yeah.
Like if they had sacked him 6 times and you thought they hadn't sacked him, that's a different story.
That's exactly right. Somebody sent me this in regards to, speaking of
so the Vikings scored their 3rd touchdown. There was still 3:43 on the clock. So. Okay.
But when they scored the one to go up 21, with 3:43, they weren't going to. I mean, that's okay to score it. I'm just saying, score it. They weren't going to need that 3rd touchdown.
No.
Atlanta wasn't going to get a touchdown, get the ball back, and get another touchdown. It wasn't going to happen. And so, but I like it when you just score. Don't let off the gas. And then I got this email that says, this came in actually Friday afternoon. Okay, last Friday after we were talking about the Thursday night, the very controversial Thursday night game where we did a poll on Thursday, an official opinion poll on our Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, which everybody knows everybody knew the repercussions of a Lions win or a Lions loss. Packers win, Packers win, Packers loss on the NFC North division race. And we still found that most Viking fans still would have rather saw Green Bay lose and let the Vikings figure out another way to catch the Lions. And there were some Viking fans that were just bitter. You got to always go what's best for the team, so I'm going to root for the Packers. Well, some people. Then the best response was, I would root for North Korea if they were playing Green Bay, which I thought was a brilliant response by one of our text messages. But this guy says, for the Lions not to kick a field goal on 4th down at the end of the game was the worst coaching decision I've ever seen. In my opinion, if they didn't make it on 4th down, the coach should have been fired.
Come on.
Best coach in pro football.
They've lost 1 game.
Yeah. You're going to fire him.
Yeah.
It was the right decision. Here's what I responded to him because he took the time to send me an email, comment at KFAN.com. This is what we do in Detroit. We stomp on the gas pedal and we don't let off. That's how we play. That's what we do. I'm all for it. I'm for going for it on every 4th down. It doesn't bother me because if you don't go, they go for a 4th down all the times, and that's part of the reason they're 12-1. because they're going for it and getting first downs and putting teams away and continuing drives and scoring on them. If they punt the ball away in those situations, they probably don't win a couple of those games. Now, sometimes it doesn't work. Guys are laying on the lines, bandwagon. We saw it earlier in the game when they tried to go for it on their own 31. I bit my lip. As a Kitties fan, well, that's what we do, though. I guess if I'm all for it when he does it every other time, I can't just pick and choose at this point, particularly when it doesn't work. That hindsight being 2020 isn't going to work. And here's what nobody's talking about. I've not heard anybody say this, Tenneby. You know why else it was a brilliant decision at that point? Even who does the Sunday night game? Herb Street and
he does Thursday night.
Okay, who
Sunday night's Collinsworth.
But it was Thursday night. That was a Thursday night game. So it was Herb Street.
It's Al Michaels,
and
right?
Al Michaels, right? And what are they saying? Well, they're not going to go for it here. They're just trying to draw them off sides. Well, that's what Green Bay thought too. So what are you doing when you think you're just standing perfectly still? You're not even prepared for a play because you're thinking there's no way they're going to go for it here, right? You're thinking what everybody else across the country is thinking is, well, Dan Campbell isn't that stupid. He's not going to do it on this one. They're just trying to draw Green Bay off sides. If they can get him to draw him off sides, they'll get the first down, and then they can go and milk the clock and kick the field goal. So Green Bay's not even ready for a play. That's why he got 7 yards on it, because they're not really set in like, all right, here, they're coming. They're like, okay, nobody jump. Just stand perfectly still. Nobody make a move. That's why it was even a better play to call at that moment. It's just genius. Sorry, it's genius. Or do you not agree with that?
No, I was just thinking about the Vikings now. This is not the exact same scenario you're talking about, but the Vikings defense have had a time or two the last couple of games, this game and Arizona game, where it's like 3rd and 2, and their defense isn't set up yet. And like even yesterday, Cousin just goes right up the line of scrimmage. Before the Vikings defense is even set up, they snap the ball and 4 or 5 yard gain. And it's like, all right, Beeflo, let's get that defense set up a little earlier on these crucial 3rd down situations.
And that is something that's something else to take into consideration. I don't think there's any question. What I found interesting, Tenneby, is we're going back to Sam Darnold. We know the history, right? Drafted 5-6 years ago, 1st round pick, 3rd overall, second I think was 3rd overall. Plays for the New York Jets. Starts off okay, and then it goes south. Pear-shaped, as the kids say. I think was it Carolina next?
Yes.
And where did it go there? Started out okay and went pear-shaped. Okay? And then he goes to San Francisco and he spends a year watching Shanahan and a really good San Francisco offense go to the big game and see how it's done. Then he comes here and under the tutelage of KOC, give him his credit, turns into one of the he's performing as one of the best quarterbacks in pro football right now. And as we've talked about earlier in the show, and other people are saying, that a lot of people are saying, he should be in the MVP conversation. And I think most of the credit that I'm hearing is going to KOC, quarterback whisperer, right? Look at what this guy's able to do with quarterbacks. There are people that think Cousins became a better quarterback under KOC. I'm not so sure. Maybe he did a little bit, but I don't think it was like, whoa, like we've seen with Darnold, the amazing turnaround we've seen from Darnold pre-KOC, pre-Vikings to he is now. He got a little bit out of pasture out that first week or two. So KOC is now has this reputation as being burnished into his legacy already. He's one of the best quarterback coaches as a head coach as maybe the history of the National Football League, right? And let's even say it's true. How many other quarterbacks that have been drafted in the 1st round or 2nd round and have flamed out, have been busts, could have been Sam Darnold under the right situation,
Sure.
Not just necessarily KOC, but because that's who's right now being considered the builder of quarterbacks. But so I started looking at all the quarterbacks that have been drafted over the years. How good could Kenny Pickett have been? Do we know? Well, but we don't, right? Because everybody thought, Sam Darnold, he's not any good. What if Kenny Pickett had an opportunity to work under him? How about Will Levis?
Yeah, right now in Tennessee.
right now in Tennessee. What if Will Levis was in the right situation? He had somebody to tell him, match up your eyes and your feet. Put together the right offense. Take the guy under his wing. How about Blake Bortles? Well, where was he drafted?
His first-round pick.
Yep. Where is I just had his name here.
Jacksonville.
Yeah. I lost it, though. I was going to, Blake Bortles. He was first round. He was first overall, wasn't he? Or was he third overall? How about Johnny Manziel?
Johnny Football.
What if Johnny Football? Think of all the players that are on the scrap heap that could have been Sam Darnold. I mean, we don't know. I'm not suggesting every one of these could have been. How about A.J. McCarron?
He wasn't as highly regarded, but
Neither was
a second-round pick.
Neither was Tom Brady or Joe Montana. Certainly Brady wasn't. He was a sixth-round pick. How about Blaine Gabbert? Jake Locker? How do we know? How do we know that if KOC isn't his coach, that they are performing like Sam Darnold? Those guys aren't any different than Sam Darnold, are they?
Well, you do always wonder, like, Pat Mahomes, right? Pat Mahomes is brilliant. He's great. I'm guessing he'd be all right wherever he went, but he landed in a pretty nice spot with Andy Reid, who's an offensive genius. And if Mahomes doesn't go to KC,
what if he went to Carolina when they were terrible? Yeah,
yeah.
What if he went to Carolina and all of a sudden he's not coached up enough? How about John David Booty? He played here. How do we know John David Booty, had KOC been the coach when John David Booty was drafted, that John David Booty is not...
he had the best name.
How do we know he's not the next... what was our kicker's name that had three names? Peter... No, the guy that we just cut.
John Parker Romo.
How do we know he's not John Parker Romo or Lee Harvey Oswald? How do we not know that? How about Matt Leinart?
Sure.
How do we know Matt Leinart couldn't have had the same success Sam Darnold has had if he was working under KOC or some quarterback whisperer? Who else is considered? Are there other quarterback coaches that have a reputation of building up quarterbacks? Are they out there? I don't know their names. Maybe somebody can help me.
You have some that are offensive geniuses like Shanahan and Reed.
Okay.
But I don't know in terms of just pure quarterback. I don't know.
How about Kyle Orton? I don't know. Maybe there was more to Orton than there was. How about J.P. Lossman? Is it Losman or Lossman? How about J.P.?
Buffalo?
He was with the Bills. How about Jeff Smoker? Okay, let's not get carried away, Common.
I don't even know who that is.
He was sixth round, played for Michigan State, went to the Rams. Brian Leftwich.
Byron, yes.
Wasn't he? Byron, is it?
Yeah.
Wasn't he considered?
It's first-round pick.
First-round
top
pick.
10 pick, wasn't he?
How many of these guys, it's not their fault.
Or even just like the first overall pick, like Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah. How do we know, Tenby, that it's not, that those players could have been Hall of Famers or Pro Bowlers or 10, 12, 15-year franchise quarterbacks that took their teams deep into the playoff, maybe even got to a big game and got a ring? We don't know. How many of these guys are sitting there going, like, they're sitting on their couch going, I was as good as Sam Darnold. They just never gave me a chance. I was in a bad situation. I had a coach who had no idea what he was doing. They were trying to make me line up my feet and my shoulders rather than my eyes and my feet. They had it all wrong. I didn't have two wide receivers like Jet and Addison. I didn't have Hawkinson. I didn't have bookend tackles.
Caleb Williams might be that guy that we're talking about.
That's exactly right. What if he ends up being a total bust?
J.J. McCarthy did say all the quarterbacks wanted to be drafted by Minnesota. All the quarterbacks in his class.
Joey Harrington with Detroit. Third overall pick. How do we know? We don't. How many of these guys could be household names, but they were just... What was the song by Dr. John? Or was it Dr. Hook? It's either Dr. John or Dr. Hook. Well, I was in the right place, but it must have been the wrong time. I was in the right place. Can you do an AI song and see how close it is to the Dr. John song? Have them do a song about I was in the right place, but it must have been the wrong time. And let's see if they actually sample from the real song. See if you can get a song done. I mean, the list just of all these quarterbacks goes on and on and on of guys that were highly regarded. And I'm just wondering if Spurgeon okay, now don't get carried away. Ryan Leaf. When people point to quarterbacks that were complete busts, that were highly regarded, Ryan Leaf's name is usually the one that's first tossed out there, right? Mm-hmm. Went to the Chargers. Maybe that's why. Was it Eli Manning who didn't want to go to the Chargers? Or who was it didn't want to go? What?
That was a different time. Ryan Leaf and Peyton Manning were the two top quarterbacks in Peyton's class.
Okay.
And those two were thought to be both the man. But there was a debate.
But didn't Eli
also, for his draft, didn't want to go to the Chargers.
Yeah, didn't want to go.
So went to the Giants.
We can see why he didn't want to go to the Chargers. Ryan Leaf went there, and he was a complete bust. Maybe the Chargers had no idea how to put together quarterbacks. I mean, tell me, this is a list I dug up of every quarterback that's ever been drafted in the National Football League. And there are some great names, and there's guys. Cordell Stewart. Okay career, right? Had a few years, probably made some decent dough, but never was a franchise quarterback that you go, boy, that guy's good. You know, he's the Juan Soto of free agents. He just never was there. And there's so many players out there, and you wonder to yourself, should they all band together and do some type of a class action lawsuit about what
they lost millions and tens of millions of dollars.
Right. What's the phrase I'm looking for? The charge would be malpractice. It's coaching malpractice. I was really good. I came out of college, everybody loved me. I was one of the 5 or 6 guys that was up for the Heisman. I didn't win it, but I finished second in the voting. You bring me here, and you have no idea how to coach me up. We're so lucky we've got KOC. Here's a suggestion I made. You know what we do? We thank Sam Darnold. Old Sam Darnold has an army, I-E-I-O, with a tutty here and a tutty there, here a tutty, there a tutty, everywhere a tutty. That's 5. We say thanks for your help, and we're going to go with J.J. McCarthy. McCarthy comes in. We make another run to the Super Bowl. And then after McCarthy's year's done, we say, thanks, J.J. We appreciate it. Who's next? Just keep bringing one guy.
Who can perform on the cheap. We'll get you paid. Just ain't going to be here.
Just ain't going to be here. And we just go with a different quarterback because it's obvious KOC can coach him up. So why would we want to sign anybody to a long-term deal? It makes no sense. Doesn't make any sense at all. You've heard me say that I wanted to sue the Coon Rapids Athletic Association because they had heavyweights and lightweights when I was in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And I was one of the heaviest of the lightweights, so I played the line, fierce pass rushing, rocket, Gibraltar, run, stopping defensive lineman, precise route running, sure, and pass catching tight end. Then when I went to 7th grade, everybody played. When I told the coach that I was a fierce pass rushing, rocket, Gibraltar, run, stopping defensive lineman, and precise route running, person, tight end, he said, well, no, you're too small for that. You're going to play defensive back. I had not been trained as a defensive back, so I didn't have the skills for it. I was 3rd string and got cut. How do I know I couldn't have gone to The Ohio State University on a football scholarship as a defensive back, and I would be coaching the Colorado Buffaloes right now? Because I would have been the best defensive back in the history of pro football. How do we know? We don't. We never will. Makes me mad, too. Let's do this. Let's pause, come back. When we do, it'll be 5-3-4. What you got, Tanner?
Yeah, the Wolves were silent on and off the court yesterday.